A real housewife in handcuffs? No one saw this coming. For years, Dr. Wendy Osefo was known as the professor with poise, a political commentator, academic, and one of the most articulate voices on the Real Housewives of Potomac. But now, she's at the center of a scandal that's shaking the Bravo universe to its core. Just days ago, Wendy and her husband Eddie Osefo were arrested, facing multiple fraud charges that no one expected from one of the franchise's most respected couples. The news spread like wildfire across social media, leaving fans stunned and divided. Was it all a misunderstanding or something far more calculated? And just when everyone thought Wendy would stay silent, she finally broke her silence with a single, powerful post, one that left people questioning whether she was owning her truth or staging her comeback. Because behind the designer gowns and the Bravo spotlight lies a storm that's far from over. It all went down on October 9th in Westminster, Maryland. Police confirmed that Wendy and her husband Eddie Osefo were taken into custody, both facing a staggering 16 charges, 7 of which were listed as felonies. The news hit fans like a shockwave. After all, Wendy had built her image around intelligence, education, and elegance. The idea of her being linked to fraud sounded almost unbelievable. But disbelief quickly turned into curiosity and then into chaos. According to police documents, the charges stem from an investigation into alleged fraudulent claims involving luxury goods and insurance payouts. What started as whispers online quickly became headline news. Social media exploded overnight. Some fans couldn't believe the story, insisting there had to be more to it. Others were quick to drag Wendy, calling her fall from grace the biggest Bravo scandal since Jen Shah. But as it turns out, the arrest was only the beginning, because what police claim they uncovered next made this story spiral even faster. According to investigators, the story began months before the arrest, during a supposed burglary in Jamaica earlier this year. Wendy and Eddie reported that their luxury villa had been broken into, claiming that designer handbags, high-end jewelry, and diamond rings worth hundreds of thousands were stolen. It sounded tragic, until police started connecting the dots. Authorities say the Osefos' story didn't add up. Some of the same items they reported as stolen had already been returned to stores for full refunds before the alleged break-in even happened. And the real kicker? Detectives claimed that Wendy was later seen on social media wearing one of the diamond rings she had reported missing. Prosecutors now allege that the couple tried to collect an insurance payout worth nearly $450,000 for personal property loss. If true, that would place them at the center of a massive fraud scheme, one that mixes luxury, lies, and lifestyle all too well. For fans, it's hard to imagine the same Wendy who preached integrity and family values being tied to something like this. But while the investigation unfolds, Bravo quietly found itself in a storm of its own, because this scandal hit right as Wendy was preparing for a major new project. Behind the scenes, Bravo was scrambling. Wendy wasn't just another cast member, she was one of the Real Housewives of Potomac's most respected names, known for her sharp commentary and polished image, and the timing of her arrest couldn't have been worse. She was set to star in Bravo's brand new crossover show, Wife Swap, the Real Housewives edition, which had been heavily promoted and scheduled to premiere on October 14th. But suddenly, everything changed. Within days of the arrest, Bravo quietly pushed the premiere back to October 21st. And while no one from the network officially said why, fans didn't need confirmation, they knew exactly what was happening. Rumors began swirling that the network was frantically re-editing Wendy's scenes, deciding whether to tone down her presence or cut her episode entirely. Insiders claim production teams were caught off guard, unsure how to handle the fallout. Wendy had always represented intellect and integrity within the franchise, and now that image was under fire. Online, some fans begged Bravo to give her a fair chance, while others demanded she be suspended until the case was resolved. And just when Bravo thought it could stay quiet, someone at the top of the network finally broke the silence, and it was none other than Andy Cohen himself. When the news broke, Bravo's top man, Andy Cohen, kept quiet, at least for a little while. Fans were waiting, refreshing social media, wondering if the network's biggest voice would say anything about one of his most intellectual housewives suddenly being charged with fraud. And then, finally, he did. During an episode of Sirius XM Andy Cohen Live, Andy addressed the situation directly. His tone wasn't fiery or defensive, it was heavy, even emotional. He admitted that he, like everyone else, had found out about Wendy and Eddie's arrest through the news. "I'm sad about this," he said, explaining that he knew nothing more than what was already public. But Andy didn't stop there. He spoke about Wendy not just as a reality TV star, but as a person, calling her a great housewife and a great role model who had always led with education and strong family values. It was clear he was heartbroken to see one of Bravo's most respected women facing such serious allegations. The comment didn't go unnoticed. Fans praised Andy for his compassion, while others accused him of protecting the network's image. But no matter how you saw it, one thing was clear: Bravo couldn't hide from this story anymore. And as the headlines kept piling up, Wendy decided it was time to take control of her own narrative. After days of silence and endless speculation online, Wendy Osefo finally broke her silence, and she did it in classic Wendy fashion, poised, composed, and unbothered. On October 19th, she took to Instagram, posting a striking black and white photo of herself in a flowing gown. The caption was short, simple, and spiritual, and through it all, God remains faithful. There was no mention of the arrest, no denial, no explanation, just gratitude. She thanked her fans for their outpouring of love, support, and prayers, and said her family was forever grateful. It was the kind of statement that didn't answer questions, but instead shifted the focus from scandal to faith, from gossip to grace. Still, fans read between the lines. Some saw her message as strength, a woman choosing peace in the middle of chaos. Others called it a PR move, a carefully crafted response to calm the media storm. And then came the twist. At the end of her caption, Wendy reminded everyone to tune in to the Real Housewives of Potomac's upcoming episode. It was subtle, but it said a lot. Wendy wasn't hiding. She was showing the world that even in controversy, she was still in control, still part of the Bravo conversation. But while her post drew praise from supporters, her professional life was already taking a major hit behind the scenes. While Wendy's Instagram post painted a picture of calm and faith, the fallout behind the scenes told a different story. Shortly after her arrest, news broke that Wendy had stepped down from her academic position at Wesleyan University, a role that had long been a cornerstone of her public identity. Fans were quick to assume she'd been fired, but her representatives pushed back hard, saying the decision to resign was entirely voluntary. In their statement, they emphasized that Wendy had submitted her resignation before any public announcement was made by the university. It was a subtle but important distinction, a way of saying she wasn't forced out, but rather she chose to step away. Still, to many, the optics were damaging. This was the same Dr. Wendy Osefo who built her brand around intellect, education, and empowerment. Seeing her name linked to fraud headlines felt like a complete 180. For years, she'd been celebrated as the housewife with a PhD, someone who balanced glamour with substance, a mother, professor, and political analyst who stood out for her brains as much as her style. Now that image was cracking. Social media buzzed with divided opinions. Some fans defended her, insisting everyone makes mistakes, while others said she'd betrayed the very values she preached. Her career might not be over, but her reputation, that's what's truly on trial now. And as the legal process unfolds, one question lingers: can Wendy rebuild her credibility, or has the damage already been done? Now all eyes are on what happens next. Both Wendy and Eddie Osefo are facing multiple charges, and while the case is still in its early stages, the legal road ahead looks long and uncertain. Reports suggest prosecutors are building a strong case around the alleged false claims and insurance fraud, while Wendy's legal team is said to be preparing a firm defense. Some insiders even hint that a plea deal could be on the table, but nothing has been confirmed yet. In the court of public opinion, though, the verdict is already being debated. Online forums and Bravo fan pages are filled with fiery discussions. Some viewers are convinced this is all a misunderstanding, calling it a setup or a targeted takedown. Others believe the evidence paints a different story, comparing Wendy's situation to other reality stars who fell from grace after chasing the high life too far. For Bravo, the situation is delicate. The network has to balance entertainment value with real-life consequences, deciding how much of Wendy's legal drama will actually make it onto the Real Housewives of Potomac. Because whether fans admit it or not, controversy drives ratings. And this scandal, it's one of the biggest in RHOP history. But beneath the gossip and headlines, there's a real family caught in the middle: 3 young kids, a marriage under pressure, and a woman whose once flawless image now stands trial in both the media and the courtroom. And as the case unfolds, one thing, for sure, Wendy's next move could define not just her career but her legacy. From professor to reality star, and now to the center of a national scandal, Wendy Osefo's story has taken a turn no one saw coming. For years, she stood out in the Bravo world as the woman who brought intellect and elegance to reality TV. But in just a few short weeks, her entire image has been tested, both personally and professionally. Now, as Wendy leans on faith and family, she faces the toughest chapter of her life. Whether she and Eddie are proven guilty or cleared of all charges, the damage to their public reputation may take far longer to repair than any legal case. Still, those who have followed Wendy's journey from classrooms to cameras know one thing: she's resilient. And if there's one thing the Housewives franchise has shown time and time again, it's that redemption is always possible, even after the darkest fall. So while the courtroom drama is just beginning, the bigger question lingers: can Wendy rise again, or will this be the scandal that ends her Bravo legacy for good? What do you think? Should Bravo stand by Wendy through the storm, or is it time for the network to cut ties? Let us know your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates on the story everyone's talking about.